She came to the village smiling, holding her phone like a trophy. Behind her, a cameraman filmed every step as if he were entering a zoo, not a home. She hugged children she had just met, wiped fake tears for the camera, and kept saying, "I just want to help these people," while checking if the recording light was still on. For 1 week, the city influencer turned every corner of the Indigenous village into content. She filmed empty pantries, sick elders, children staring at her ring light. She asked them to repeat phrases they did not understand, to smile on command, to look grateful as likes poured in from another world. But one girl in the village was watching more than the camera. She was watching the influencer's screen. At night, while the internet signal barely reached the treetops, that girl found the videos and the truth hidden in the captions and comments. Before we go deeper into how she exposed everything, tell me in the comments which country you are watching from today. Because this is not just their story. It's about people who use pain for views, and one girl who decided she wouldn't stay silent. The first time the villagers saw the van, it shimmered in the sunlight like a piece of the city had been lost and wandered too far. Its tires crushed the mud path, its tinted windows reflected the forest, and the noise of its engine scattered the birds resting on the branches above. Children stopped playing and watched, mouths half open. The elders paused their weaving. Even the dogs went quiet. The vehicle rolled into the open clearing and stopped near the central hut. The doors opened, and out stepped a woman none of them had ever seen before. She was tall, confident, and dressed as if ready for a magazine cover. Her sneakers were spotless. Her shirt carried a brand name no one could read. Behind her, 2 men jumped out, carrying cameras, tripods, and a giant ring of light that glowed like a moon made of plastic. "Hello, everyone," she said in Portuguese, her voice bright, rehearsed, and a little too loud. "I'm Lara Varela, influencer, activist, and founder of Hearts Without Borders. I came to tell your story." The interpreter she brought along repeated her words in the villagers' language. They listened politely, unsure if they should smile or stay quiet. Their leader, Chief Aratana, nodded slowly and offered a respectful greeting. "You are welcome," he said, "but our story is not for sale." Lara laughed softly, waving her hand as if brushing away the remark. "Oh, no, she said. "It's not for sale. It's for awareness, for helping you. I'm here to make people see how beautiful your life is and how much you need our support." She smiled, wide and perfect, as her cameraman adjusted the focus on her face. From that moment, the forest became a stage. For the next few days, Lara turned the village into her movie set. She posed beside the children as if they were props. She filmed mothers grinding cassava, but always asked them to move slower, it looks better on camera. When the men returned from fishing, she made them walk again from the shore so she could capture the emotion of daily life. Every night she posted, "Feeling blessed to be here, helping those who have so little, yet give so much, shock kindness, nature heals." Her followers flooded the comments with hearts and crying emojis. No one noticed that the faces behind her smiles were tired, confused, or simply missing. Among those faces was Amaru, a 16-year-old girl with sharp eyes and quiet strength. She rarely spoke when strangers came, but she watched everything: how Lara touched things without asking, how she filmed people during prayers, how she edited her words between takes. Amaru's father, who repaired radios for nearby villages, had once brought home an old smartphone. It didn't have much signal, but sometimes late at night, if she climbed high enough on the hill, she could catch a weak connection. And so, after seeing Lara film all day, Amaru waited until the village slept. She climbed the hill, opened the app Lara used, and searched for her name. It took a while, the screen loading slowly, but when it did, Amaru froze. There was Lara, smiling wide, dressed in white, standing beside Amaru's grandmother, captioned with, "She cried when I gave her a piece of chocolate. It's so humbling to see how little they have and how grateful they are." Amaru's heart hammered in her chest. Her grandmother hadn't cried because of chocolate. She had cried because the woman's flash startled her eyes. Scrolling further, Amaru found more videos. They have no clean water, no shoes, no education, but their hearts are pure. I wish everyone could see how simple happiness can be. Simple? She called their life simple happiness while staying in an air-conditioned hotel 20 minutes away. Amaru's hands trembled with anger. She opened the comments, thousands of them. People saying, "You're such an angel. God bless you. These poor souls are lucky to have you." Some even asked for the donation link Lara had created, one that didn't belong to the village at all. That night, Amaru barely slept. The next morning, Lara staged another scene, this time near the river. She told 2 children to wash their faces slowly while she knelt beside them, pretending to help. The camera rolled. Her smile glowed brighter than the water. Amaru stood at the edge of the trees, watching silently. The anger that had boiled all night now burned steady in her chest. When Lara asked her to come closer, "You have such a beautiful face. Sit here beside me for a shot." Amaru obeyed, but her expression didn't change. The camera recorded. Lara looked at her lovingly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Tell the world what you wish for," she said, voice dripping with false empathy. Amaru looked straight into the lens. "My wish," she said softly, "is that people stop lying about us." The cameraman blinked, confused. Lara froze for half a second, then laughed awkwardly. "Oh, she's shy," she said quickly, signaling to cut the recording. "Let's do that again, okay? Maybe say something like, 'I want to study,' or 'I want to see the world.' It sounds more hopeful." But Amaru didn't repeat the line. She stood and walked away. That afternoon, when Lara posted her daily update, she cut that part entirely. Instead, she captioned a smiling photo of Amaru with, "Met the sweetest girl today. She dreams of one day leaving the jungle to see the big city. Hope Narj inspiration." Amaru saw it, and that's when she made her choice. That night, while the influencer and her crew slept in their tents near the clearing, Amaru returned to the hill. She connected again to the fragile signal and began recording her own video. No lights, no script, no makeup, just her voice and the truth. "My name is Amaru," she said. "You don't know me, but you've seen my face. They filmed me without asking. They said I wanted to be like them. But that's not true. I just want to be heard, as who I am, not as who they pretend I am." She explained how Lara had asked them to act poor, to cry, to repeat words they didn't mean. She showed the fake donation link and how none of it reached the community. When she finished, she sent the video to the same platform, tagging the influencer directly. The signal was weak, but the message left the forest like a spark carried by the wind. The next morning, the first phone to buzz wasn't Amaru's. It was Lara's. She woke up to hundreds of comments under her latest post. Not hearts, not praise, but question marks and anger. Screenshots of Amaru's video were spreading fast. Hashtags began forming. One, truth from the jungle. One, stop using us. Amaru speaks. Lara's smile vanished for the first time since she arrived. The cameraman looked at her. "What do we do?" Lara's fingers trembled as she opened the video and watched the girl's steady eyes staring straight into the lens. "She just ruined everything," she whispered. No, Amaru didn't ruin anything. She restored it. Lara had always believed she controlled the story. If she cried on camera, people cried with her. If she smiled in front of a broken house, donations poured in like rain. If she called herself a voice for the voiceless, no one ever asked whether the so-called voiceless had voices of their own, until Amaru. The morning after the girl's video left the hill, Lara woke up to a sound she knew well. Notification pings. Usually they felt like applause. Today they sounded like stones hitting glass. Still half asleep, she grabbed her phone, ready to enjoy the usual flood of hearts and praise. Instead, she saw fire. Her latest post about pure hearts in the jungle was covered in comments from people all over the world. Some tagged her angrily. Others tagged a username she did not recognize. Many had only one question. "Is what the girl says true?" Lara frowned and tapped the tagged video. Slow signal, spinning icon. Then Amaru's face filled the screen. No ring light, no makeup. Wind hissed softly in the microphone. The frame trembled a little in her hand, but her eyes were steady. "My name is Amaru," the girl said. "You have seen our village through her camera. Now I want you to see it through our eyes." Lara's stomach tightened. Amaru spoke simply, without drama. She described how the influencer told people when to smile and when to look sad, how she asked elders to repeat stories until they sounded tragic enough, how she filmed a sick child twice from different angles and never asked his name. She showed screenshots of captions that called them poor souls with nothing. She scrolled to the donation link below the videos and explained that the money did not go to any account controlled by the community. "We are not decorations for someone else's kindness," Amaru finished. "If you really want to help us, start by seeing us as people, not props." The video ended. The comment counter beneath it spun like a wheel on fire. Lara's hands shook. Her cameraman, Davey, leaned over her shoulder. He read in silence for a few seconds. "This has millions of views already," he muttered. "It's everywhere." A new notification flashed from one of her sponsors. "We need to talk about this video." Another came from a journalist, another from a rights organization. Words like exploitation, performance, and poverty content appeared in her mentions. The kingdom she had built on top of other people's stories was tilting. Outside, the village was already awake. Children chased each other between the huts, stopping now and then to stare at the strange equipment near Lara's tent. Adults spoke in low voices. Even those who had never seen the internet could feel that something heavy had shifted. Amaru felt it most. She walked through the clearing with her heart thudding, but her shoulders straight. She had not told everyone what she had done. Only her younger brother knew that she had climbed the hill and pressed post. But news travels fast, even without a signal. Someone had received a message from a cousin in the city. Someone else had heard from a driver on the road. The outside world was talking about a girl from the village. Chief Aratana called her to the tall meeting tree. He stood waiting, hands clasped behind his back, face lined by years of sun and worry. Villagers gathered in a loose circle around them. Amaru walked into the center, feeling dozens of eyes following her. "Did you speak to the world outside?" Aratana asked, his voice low but clear. "Yes," she answered. "Did you speak the truth?" "Yes," she said again. "Then you did what we ask of everyone here," he replied. "You protected our dignity." A few elders shifted, uncertain. Some were afraid of angering the woman with the cameras. Others feared that outsiders would punish them for daring to talk back. But many nodded slowly. They had seen enough to know that something about Lara's presence had always been wrong. Someone had just found the courage to say it out loud. As they spoke, Lara walked toward them, boots sinking slightly into the damp earth. Today there was no bright lipstick, no wide smile. A shadow hung under her eyes, the kind that comes from a night spent scrolling through accusations. "I need to speak with you," she said to the chief, but her gaze locked onto Amaru. "With both of you." Davi and the interpreter followed at a distance, unsure whether to bring the camera. "No filming," Aratana said. "Not for this." Lara nodded tightly. For the first time since she arrived, she left her phone in her pocket instead of raising it as a shield. "I saw your video," she told Amaru. "You don't understand how things work out there. People only give when they feel moved. If I show them something small and simple, they scroll past. If I make them cry, they donate. That's how I can help villages like yours." Amaru met her eyes. "Is that why you said we had no clean water?" she asked. "Because tears are worth more than wells?" Lara flinched. "I simplified it," she replied, "to make it clearer." "You changed it," Amaru said, "to make you look bigger and us smaller." Davi stared at the ground. Lara took a breath. "Look," she said, forcing her tone softer. "We can fix this. We'll film another video together. You'll stand beside me. I'll tell everyone I misunderstood. I'll tag your village, put the donation link in your chief's name. We'll show unity. People love redemption. If you keep attacking me, brands will leave and nobody gets anything." "I didn't attack you," Amaru answered quietly. "I described what you did." The chief spoke then, his voice like slow thunder. "You came saying you wanted to help," he said, "but to the world you called us helpless. You asked us to perform our sadness so your followers would clap when you appeared with gifts. That is not help. That is hunger wearing perfume." Lara's composure cracked. "Do you have any idea what I've sacrificed for this work?" she demanded. "Time, relationships, privacy?" "Yes," Aratana interrupted gently. "You sacrificed the truth. You can carry our images in your phone, but not our dignity." For a moment, no one moved. The village seemed to hold its breath. Davi finally lifted his eyes. He looked at Amaru, then at Lara, then at the equipment piled near their tent. All those lenses and lights suddenly felt heavier than stone. "Maybe we should go," he said quietly. Lara stared at him in disbelief. "You're taking their side?" He shrugged, a tired sadness in his expression. "I'm taking the side of what actually happened." Behind them, villagers drifted closer. They did not shout. They did not threaten. They simply stood together, shoulder to shoulder, watching the woman who had tried to frame their lives like a sad painting. Far away, screens kept lighting up with Amaru's face. More people were sharing her words. A law professor had written a thread about consent and image rights. A journalist had announced a story on influencers and the price of other people's pain. For years, Lara had believed that the story belonged to the person holding the camera. Now, standing in front of one quiet girl and an entire village that refused to bend, she began to realize something she had never truly considered. The story had never been hers. The van left before sunrise, taking the cameras, ring light, and branded backpacks with it. The engine's growl faded down the dirt road until the village heard only birds again. For a long time after the dust settled, no one spoke. It felt as if a storm had finally passed, but the sky still didn't know whether to stay clear. Amaru watched from the edge of the clearing, arms crossed over her chest. She had imagined this moment many times while lying awake at night. She had thought she would feel only relief when Lara finally drove away. Instead, she felt something heavier and stranger, like standing on a riverbank after pushing a boat into rough water. Once you let it go, you can't control where it ends up. That boat, for her, was the video. Down in the city, far beyond the trees, her face was still playing on thousands of small glowing screens. On talk shows and podcasts, people argued about whether she was ungrateful or brave. Some defended Lara, saying she had good intentions, just bad choices. Others called Lara a tourist of suffering, an actress using real people as scenery. Brands quietly removed the influencer's face from their ads. A charity Shitina partnered with announced an investigation. Lara posted a tearful apology, saying she had been misunderstood, but the comments under that video looked like a river split in two. One current angry, one still clinging to her. Up here, the signal barely reached the hill. When Amaru climbed to check her phone, there were more messages every day. Reporters, activists, students, people from other countries whose names she could not pronounce. Some wrote, "You are our voice." Others wrote, "Tell us everything about your people." A few wrote things that made her skin tighten, calling her the girl who exposed the jungle, as if a forest could be summarized in a headline. Chief Aratana sat with her one afternoon under the big meeting tree. The phone rested between them on the mat, screen dark. "Will you answer them?" he asked. "I don't know," she admitted. "If I speak, I'm afraid they will twist it again. If I stay silent, they will decide the story without us." The chief nodded slowly. "Once a story leaves our mouths," he said, "it becomes like wind. You cannot tell it where to blow, but you can decide what you give it to carry." Amaru turned the phone over in her hands. One message was different from the others. It was from a woman who worked with Indigenous rights in the city. She wasn't asking for a dramatic interview or a collaboration. She was asking a simple question: what do you need? And another: how do you want to be represented? "That one," Aratana said after hearing the interpreter read it. "Sounds like someone who wants to listen more than speak." "Maybe we should answer her," Amaru said. Days turned into weeks. The outside world, always hungry for a new scandal, moved on to other names and other storms. But not everyone forgot. A few journalists kept digging into a bigger question: why so many influencers traveled with cameras to places that did not belong to them and left with followers and money while the people they filmed remained the same. In those articles and conversations, Amaru's video appeared again and again, not as a spectacle, but as proof that the voiceless had never been silent. They simply hadn't been heard. Inside the village, a quieter change was happening. They began to talk about cameras the way they talked about fire: useful, powerful, and dangerous if left in the wrong hands. They agreed that no one would film their ceremonies without permission. If a visitor wanted to record anything, there would be rules. Elders must agree, explanations must be clear, and any money raised must be transparent and shared. They would not be props again. One evening, as the sky turned orange and purple, children gathered around Amaru near the river. "Did the people in the city hate us?" one boy asked. "No," she said. "Most of them never thought about us at all. That was the problem." "And now?" a small girl asked, feet dangling over the water. "Now some are starting to see us," Amaru replied. "Not because someone showed them how sad we are, but because we refuse to be shown without respect." That night, in her hammock, she opened the message thread from the rights organization again. Together with the chief and a few trusted friends from nearby communities, she had helped draft a simple text, a list of principles about consent, dignity, and representation. It was not a law, not yet. It was more like a lantern, small but bright enough to be seen in the dark. "We want to share this," she wrote in a new message, "not as victims, but as authors of our own story." Hours later, a reply arrived, full of gratitude and concrete offers: translation, legal support, meetings with lawyers and filmmakers, a promise to spread those principles to anyone who claimed to give voice to Indigenous people. Amaru exhaled slowly. The story that had gone out as a warning was returning as a seed. Several months after Lara left, another team arrived at the village. This time, there was no glossy van, no ring light, no slogan printed on t-shirts. The visitors carried smaller cameras, notebooks, and backpacks with worn straps. Before recording anything, they sat under the meeting tree and listened. "We heard about what happened," one of them said. "We don't want to repeat it. If we film here, it will be under your terms. You can stop us at any time. You decide what stays and what goes." Chief Aratana looked at Amaru. "What do you think?" he asked. Amaru felt many eyes on her, but this time it didn't feel like weight. It felt like trust. "We try," she said, "but with our rules, and I want to see every caption before it's posted." The visitors agreed immediately. When the finished video finally went online, Amaru watched it from the hill with careful eyes and a heart ready to flinch. But the words she heard were different. There was no sad music laid over laughing children, no captions calling them pure but poor. The narrator spoke of history, land, threats, and resistance. At the end, a line appeared in small letters: "Story reviewed and approved by the community." For the first time, Amaru did not feel used when she saw herself on a screen. Far away, in a city apartment filled with silent equipment, Lara watched it too. The village looked smaller without her in the center, yet somehow larger, more real. She closed her laptop and sat very still, confronted by a question she had avoided for years. Had she ever truly helped anyone, or only her own reflection? The forest did not wait for her answer. Back in the village, night settled over the huts like a soft blanket. Stars pushed through the darkness. Somewhere, a baby cried, someone laughed, someone stirred a pot over a low flame. Life went on, the way it always had, long before hashtags and lenses and strangers with careful smiles. In her hammock, listening to the river's steady voice, Amaru understood something she wished Lara had known from the beginning. When you tell your story in your own words, the camera stops being a cage. It becomes a mirror. And this time, when the world looked at that mirror, it finally saw the village not as background for someone else's greatness, but as what it had always been: a place full of people who could speak for themselves, and a girl who had proven it to everyone.